Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We'll be doing several videos today. This is the first, and so I hope that today is the day I earn your subscription. So do please consider hitting that button at the bottom of the screen right now. Thanks. Now, north of the border in Scotland, the cancellation of women continues apace. A woman was ejected from the viewing gallery of a public meeting. Her crime was wanting the vote for women. No, seriously, she was wearing a scarf in the colours of the suffragette movement, and others thought that that was offensive and made sure that she was ejected. Meanwhile, they continued to wear their LGB rainbows. The irony is, of course, that the debate was about trans rights. Do trans have more rights in Scotland than women? Do women in Scotland have any rights whatsoever? Let's look at this article. So the SNP's anti-female bigotry was laid bare for all to see. A woman wearing suffragette colours was kicked out of a government trans debate, but rainbow lanyards remained. Because of course the SNP have this obsession with promoting the supremacy of trans over all other minorities and giving them more rights than everyone else, and they are to be treated as the special ones. And why are they pushing this all the time to such a degree that anyone with an opposing view is ejected from meetings? Because how dare you not agree with everything that Sturgeon and her cronies say? So let's get into this story. A woman in Scotland was reportedly kicked out of a government transgenderism debate on Tuesday for wearing a scarf bearing colours associated with the early 20th century suffragette movement. The woman was reportedly attending via the public gallery a meeting of Scotland's Equality Committee. And there's the irony, it's a bloody Equality Committee and they're throwing the women out. When she was reportedly kicked out after refusing to take off her multicoloured scarf. It was observed that while the historic Votes for Women garment was considered déclassé, the several people wearing the LGBTP rainbow lanyards at the meeting were not told to leave because different rules. We want those people, the special people, to remain. We don't want anyone who disagrees to have any bearing on this meeting. Quickly get out with the normies. Led by the left National Socialist Scottish National Party, the UK home nation's devolved government has been one of the foremost drivers of transgenderism politics in Britain and is currently pushing for the passing of more laws that would further allow biological men to be treated as women in various settings. Yes, for some reason, they want men to have access to every space a woman can be in. You know, prisons, hospital wards, changing rooms, crisis centres, DV, domestic refuges. Anywhere where a woman may feel safe is not allowed in Scotland. Men must have access to safe spaces where women are. Women are not to be considered in any way important in Scotland. Some fear that such pro-transgender reforms will endanger women by allowing men to gain access what were formerly single-sex facilities, such as changing rooms and women's shelters. No, it's not that some fear that this may happen. We know this is happening. I've done stories where men are spending time and entering quite freely women's safe spaces for their own pleasure, for their own gratuitous pleasure, and where women are being abused, AR'd. We have cases of R's occurring in women-only wards in hospital, and the hospital covering it up, protecting an Rist because he identified as a woman. Oh, and we can't have an R in our ladies-only ward, can we? And so the NHS are the protector of Rists. It's sickening and disgusting, and that's what these people do. So here's that evil piece of clothing. I think it's something Harry Potter left behind by the look of it. According to a report by The Telegraph, it was a committee debate discussing these further reforms that the woman, who is said to have been wearing a green, white and purple striped scarf, was ordered to leave the public gallery on Tuesday, with the publication noting that the colours of the scarf were originally associated with the early 20th century suffragette movement that fought to get women the right to vote. And they've reportedly been adopted by modern feminists in Scotland who oppose the government's push to put men into women's spaces. To think that the government of Scotland, are actually anti-suffragettes. They are actively anti-women's rights. Wow. What kind of government is it that is not just sort of blasé about it, but is actively anti-women's rights and actually working to endanger women and children to such an extent that they will not allow women into a debate? Anyway, the woman is said to have refused to take off the scarf when asked, and as such was removed from the chamber under the justification that the wearing of the item of clothing was unacceptable due to it being associated with a political movement. And here's the line of complete horseshit. The Telegraph claims that the number of people in the chamber, now not in the viewing gallery, in the chamber at the time of the women's ejection, including politicians sitting on the committee itself, were wearing colours associated with political movements in the form of rainbow-coloured lanyards. So they're throwing a woman out because she's wearing the suffragette colours, while they are sitting in the debate wearing political colours. Hypocrisy much? This is the same as when it went through the committee stage with this GRC certificate and things. And they had 17 trans sitting there telling the committee members how awful it was to be trans and blah, blah, blah. My heart bleeds for them. Meanwhile, they refused to listen to 5 women who were the victims of men in safe spaces. Because that would go against the agenda. That would go against what they wanted to hear on the terrible thing that they're trying to push through to make sure that women in Scotland are not safe. Sturgeon is evil. That's all I can think. Anyway, the publication also claimed that while the display of banners and slogans are banned within the committee chamber, there are no such rules governing politically associated colours on clothes. If that was the case, anyone in there wearing yellow would have to be thrown out, because SNP. Anyone wearing blue, out Tory. Anyone wearing red, out Labour. Such an observation appears to have been verified by the Scottish Parliament itself, which has now admitted that the woman was removed unlawfully. But they're not going to do anything to go back, are they? They're not going to do anything about this. Scottish Parliament's presiding officer, Alison Johnson, apologises after Parliament security tell woman wearing scarf with suffragette colours to take it off or leave. Then refused to allow her back into meeting on gender self-ID law. And so it's here. So let's read what she says. And I have to come in. I wish to address an issue which occurred at the Equality, Human Rights and Civil Justice Committee. Where was the equality and where was her human rights? And as for civil justice, saw none of that. With members may be aware of and which members have raised with me. At that meeting, a visitor to the public gallery was asked to remove a purple, green and white scarf, and having declined to do so, the visitor was informed she would not be able to return to the gallery. This request was made by officials in connection with the Parliament's Code of Conduct for Visitors, which sets out the display of banners, flags or political slogans, including on clothing and accessories, is forbidden. And let me make one thing crystal clear, suffrage colours are not and never have been banned at the Scottish Parliament. Lies, because you've just banned them. You have just thrown that woman out for wearing colours. You are lying. You are sitting and writing a piece of paper with lies on it because you're saying it's never been banned. She was thrown out. So at least once. It's been banned once. You liar. Every single... They can't help themselves though, can they? They can never do it. Anyway, that's the end of that. I'm going to come up, but they cannot help themselves but lie. That's all they know. The SNP just lie and lie and lie. And we know Sturgeon lies and lies and lies every time. And now they're removing rights of women to attend debates that have an absolute impact on the women of Scotland. I tell you, this is what you voted for, Scotland. You need to vote differently. You need to do something. You are moving quickly and, frighteningly to a police state. Anyway, I shall finish there and come up. It will soon be forbidden for women to speak. It will soon be forbidden for women to have an opinion. Not if it goes contrary to the SNP and their trans-obsessed ideology. They are locking Scotland into a path of hate, of fear, of impoverishment, a lack of rights. And it sounds very reminiscent of what was happening in Germany in the early 30s. You have a government that is removing rights and freedoms from one group and giving them to another, and making all the evils of the world the fault of that one group. And in this case, it's women who object to being endangered. How dare they? How dare they do this? And then they come up with lies about, oh, we didn't do this on purpose and it was never our case. You're lying. Everything you do is on purpose. You banned women from the committee stage of the Gender Recognition Act because you didn't want to hear what women said. And now you're throwing women out of a public gallery because you don't want the same women to hear what you're planning to do to them next. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And Scotland, please do better. Vote these criminals out. Protect yourselves, protect your women, protect your children, protect your future. Thank you for listening. I'm going to stop now. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notification of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, keep shouting, and goodbye.